안녕하십니까. 이소룡 분석 채널 한중왕입니다. 20세기 무술 아이콘이자 전설 이소룡. 그의 뒤를 이은 마지막 쿵푸 스타 견자단. 춤도 아주 잘 추는 견자단. 이번 시간에는 견자단의 인터뷰 내용을 들어보겠습니다.
喜欢一开始的时候也是我妈妈逼着我练的，5点6点钟起来，她就拉我下床，然后就逼我练功，练完功才让我上学嘛。那后来慢慢发觉我自己对于武功有一定的天分，很不错，挺牛的。你知道，小孩发现自己有某些天赋的时候，他肯定对于那种兴趣放很多时间下去。那个时候我就觉得我练武还不错哦。然后同时我也对于这个李小龙很崇拜李小龙，那么就希望有一天可以做第2个李小龙。拍了20几年，讲白了才红。我觉得如果没有那20几年，可能没有今天的甄子丹，我可能演不来这个味道。你肯定所以我经常跟好多媒体朋友都说，演戏对我来说，就是他把自己的一个人生的一个经历，他的遭遇，透過他的人物反映出來的嘛。
如果你同成龍打邊個贏啊？
咁梗係成龍啦！
你亂㗎啦你，你真係食腦啊你！你有肯定係你贏啦！如果真係成龍，成龍都唔係真係功夫嚟嘅，佢自己都知道。
你點可以咁講啊？
梗係唔係啦，佢自己
蔡生成龍係咪真係功夫嚟嘅？
梗係唔係啦，
唔係你夠膽咁講嘅，你點講啊？你輩分啊嘛，
係你事實就係事實啦。
佢係好。佢頭腦打贏啦，或者
係啦，你係真
好難，即係呢啲嘢好難講㗎嘛。
你真係好識撈啊你！
真唔係嘅。咁佢係我前輩，我已經尊重佢㗎嘛。唔通我話係？
你就算係李小龍係咪真係識打你都唔知啊！真係。
唔係，我認為李小龍梗係好好打咯。
咁咪你識武功？講個老實話，你覺得李小龍係咪真係識打嘅先？
梗係啦。
我覺得係識
當然
識
嚇，
當然
即係當然識打嘅。
但係真係
係咪打唔打到咧？真係
真正打起嚟，佢係唔係咁？
係咪啦？係啦。
我認為係咯。
你認為係？
我認為千萬人都會覺得佢係咯。
你咧？
我梗係話係。
你同佢打點啊？
我梗係唔夠佢打。
係咪真啊？你有冇諗過？你有冇諗過你自己可以同佢有得揮？
第一，我唔會諗呢樣嘢，因為佢係我嘅前輩，亦都係我嘅偶像。二來咧，我覺得佢嘅
好多人偶像
佢嘅武術嘅無論喺武術上嘅嗰個貢獻同埋佢個功夫電影貢獻，佢史無前例。佢係一個好偉大嘅武術家同埋一個電影人。
不過你係咪好細個開始就想做明星㗎啦？
唔係，從來都冇諗過拍戲。
真係冇錯，
真係冇。
你幾歲開始諗住？19歲最少啊
！19歲我係俾我師傅發掘到嘅啫，因為當時佢要揾一個因為以前我未入行之前，佢拍過蔡生就知，《射雕手》同《醉拳》係佢拍㗎嘛，係佢將成龍大哥嗰2部戲。咁之後就係佢哋唔同嘅公司啦，成龍大哥去咗嘉禾，就留喺嘉禾啦 ，keep 住喺嘉禾，蔡生做宣傳，跟住講，咁我師傅袁和平就出嚟，佢自己就拍啲綜藝劇，咁佢需要一個新血，即係揾啲新人，咁佢就周圍揾，咁嗰陣時佢個家姐袁和平嘅家姐就係我媽徒弟嚟嘅，咁佢話我知道阿麥師傅有個仔，咁我哋呢個僆仔功夫 OK 嘅，咁介紹俾袁和平，我就係咁樣誤打誤撞咁樣入行。
之前冇諗過話要做明星啊！
我拍完2部戲之後，我翻咗美國3年，我冇拍過戲。
OK，
因為你都唔係好啱我。
你唔覺得啱你？
我覺得唔啱我，因為當時我比較後生啦，咁就尤其是因為細嗰時曾經喺美國住過一段時間，所以我個處事作風啊，
唔啱呢個圈嘅，
同埋我自己又比較內向，咁就覺得唔啱我。咁我翻咗美國，但係我翻咗美國我都不斷去睇香港嘅功夫片動作片，咁我就好多自己嘅諗法。我覺得，咦，唔係喎，我可以 咁樣做喎，可以咁樣拍喎。咁啊，佢想不如翻嚟香港再試下。
大家都知道我係超級李小龍迷嚟啦。
你對於李小龍其實即係中意佢係咩地方？佢咩地方可以感動到你咧？
其實我好似千萬咁多 fans 咁啦，我亦都係李小龍迷嚟啦。咁啊，細個亦都係受到李小龍嘅武術上嘅理論啊、哲學啊影響啦，以至到我自己本身嘅電影咧，亦都係受到李小龍先生嘅好大嘅影響嘅。所以如果你睇翻我好多啲電影入邊，無論我自己演又好，無論我自己做武術設計又好，都係好受到李小龍先生嘅。
僆仔嗰時就係，我記得我細個嗰時，即係你都知我媽咪冇表演，但係咧我好發現話周圍表演其他啲，咁啊睇李小龍啲戲咧就成日買李小龍。細嗰時咧就着嗰黃色嗰啲兩間嗰啲咧，同埋就係戴下黑超啊，自己整雙截棍啊，撐喺個紋之前嗰啲紋係好高噶嘛，咁啊插嗰度個紋，我個雙截棍係自己整喎，個掃把。我仲記得掃把戒咗佢有兩種嘅，一種12寸，一個14寸。咁咧就中間嗰條線咧，一係轉兩個窿，咁啊一條繩穿過晒；一係咧就係揾嗰個螺絲，即係嗰個雙成片啊，雙成片。咁啊兩個差唔多600件。呢度喺咩度啊？3寸。細嗰陣我已經話李小龍㗎啦，我翻學校嗰啲人話我係李小龍嚟㗎嘛，買晒黑超啊，有時都係扮嘢啊嘛。李小龍啊嘛，同埋俾人感覺就係我係咁合理嘛，咁啊啲打交嗰時其實搞飯啊嘛，喺美國，咁就喺台街買嗰啲童裝衫咧，成套龍爭虎鬥嗰啲童裝衫，成套着埋嗰啲功夫鞋，帶個大黑超翻去咁啊扮李小龍扮晒，即係可以嚇鬼，真係叫嚇鬼啊！真係都嚇佢驚㗎，嚇到個一出嚟就嗰時 OK 嘅嗰時，咁慢慢就係我要做李小龍做李小龍就係咁去練咯。
係入咗埋英文名啊！
咁又
版權所有，
改晒啦，版權所有。做啲嘢啊！細個嗰時有㗎，有晒嗰啲書啊，咁見晒啦，僆仔嗰時。咁我曾經有一段時間就即係好迷李小龍嗰幾年，之後咧就又去嗰個武術嘅思想又改變咗，咁再兜個大圈，即係我練功練咗幾十年咧，到最尾翻轉頭咧，我都係認同咗李小龍嗰一套。
Remember, I was always a big fan of Bruce Lee. I believe in that style. I believe in that martial art philosophies. I don't believe in. I have to say, when I used to study a lot of these Samuels and Jackie's films, to me they were all great, classics. I learned a lot from them, but there was certain soul, and there was certain soul that was missing things that I saw in Bruce Lee's films. Certain little bit of personal finesse, flavors. I wanted to bring out the martial arts as a martial art actor, like what Bruce Lee did. I want to go full out and bringing that flavor out. So I was studying all their films and studying, how do I bring that flavor? And obviously I brought some like Ali Shovel and Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, and the hands and everything, and the interpretation of the boxings. But actually it was nothing new. It was just I brought it, I sophisticated it a little bit more as far as the movement and the camera angles. But if you look back to Bruce Lee's time, Bruce Lee was hip. He had the soul when he moved. He wasn't just bump, block, punch. He was like, moving, a little bit fake and a little bit here. Very rhythmic, very, he had a lot of tempo behind it, And I think a lot of Hong Kong guys after Bruce Lee passed away didn't really captivate that, They look at Bruce Lee, oh, it's great, but then they try to copy his very surface movement, like the nose, the scream, or strike a pose. But look beyond that, you know, it was about rhythm, it was about tempo, the way he shuffled, the way he moved, the way that made very unique to the eyes. And with that in mind, you can take it to any level. You can use that as a period film interpretation or a modern interpretation. If you look at Once Upon a Time or Dragon Gate or Butterfly or whatever movements, I actually have the same principle, you know, having that tempo, that soul, and striking different poses. It could be a period film poses, or it could be a modern, you know, kickboxing poses. To me, they're all the same. You know, it's how you interpret it. It's like what Bruce Lee's saying, you know, when he first started with Kung Fu, a punch is just a punch. And after a certain period of time, that punch becomes mini punch. Then when he reaches that highest level, the punch becomes a punch again. But this time, this punch carries all the multiple punches behind it. So if I'm gonna direct another Kung Fu films, I would probably trying to interpret this whole decades of experience of martial art films and try to find more of an inner emotional approach. You look at Bruce Lee films, it was just him. The camera was on him all the time, you know. It was more like the way he interpreted the movements, you know. The audience was fascinated and captivated by Bruce Lee's gesture, expression, movement. And the reason why, I think there's a certain level of martial art acting, martial art performance on screen. You can be good and you can be great. Being great, you can't just come into the picture and just being able to act good and throw 1-2 movements. You cannot. I refuse to believe that. I think yes, you know, there's technology today, you know, you can CG, you can have all these special effects, but when it comes down to real feeling, emotions, you know, physical ability is part of emotion too. That's why Bruce Lee is so great.
이처럼 실제로 이소룡은 많은 이들에게 귀감이 되었습니다. 그를 통해 영감을 얻고 성공한 사람들은 정말 많죠. 지금의 이소룡은 우리를 직접적으로 도와줄 수는 없지만 우리는 이소룡에게 간접적으로 도움을 받을 수 있습니다. 그를 통해 영감을 얻고 배우는 것은 우리들의 몫입니다.
난 전혀 모르겠는데 도대체 이소룡 영화가 뭐가 대단하다는 거야?
이런 분들을 위해서 제가 한번 분석해봤습니다. 다음 영상에서 뵙겠습니다.